hear me? Okay. Do I start? Oh. Hello, Korea. Manaso banggap sumnida. Hello, Startup Con. I am so excited to be here, but I'm so sorry I'm not physically present. I had a family emergency, and everyone is okay, but I had to stay in the U.S., sadly, because I wanted to learn all about Taekwondo and Korea dramas and Gangnam Style and all of the amazing Korean things I know about. So who am I? My name is Jessie Draper, and I am a fourth generation venture capitalist and the first female. I've always wanted to see more female CEOs because I was the first female. And so I try to support that dream of mine in two ways. One, I try to interview 50% women in technology on my talk show, the Valley Girl Show. And the other way is I fund women. So I have a fund for female-founded, typically consumer technologies. And I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm seeing right now that I'm excited about. As we are, as women do typically start a lot of fashion and beauty lines, I am very excited about that space. But I'm even more excited about the healthcare companies and the fintech companies that I'm seeing pop out of all over the place, founded by women. Some of the companies I'm excited about right now that I'm investing in are in the feminine hygiene space. So I have a really great company called Naya Health. That's a breast pump. I looked at about 10 breast pump companies, having just had a baby about a year ago. And this one I'm so, so excited about. She is just a go-getter. And the next company I'd love to tell you a little about is called Flex. Flex is a new menstrual cup. I'm sure you did not anticipate me talking about this, but it's a menstrual cup, so it's disrupting the tampon space, and it's $1 billion industry. I want to see more Korean female founders, so bring me more. Sarah Pagey, who is Korean, had an incredible exit and sold Snapette to Price Grabber in less than 2 years. I'd love to see more. Come pitch me, come talk to me. So, why do I invest in women? Why is that a space that I'm looking at so seriously? There's a lot of data coming out right now that women have better exits. Women, actually, according to Fidelity, women are better with money and save more. And actually, the Washington Post reported that a professor studied stock picking by gender for more than 2 decades. And a 7-year study found that single female investors outperform single men by 2.3%. So female investing groups outperformed the male counterparts by 4.6%, and women overall outperformed by 1.4%. So I'm very, very excited about women and how women like to save money. Women also focus more on company culture, which is really, really important, especially in corporate environments, because if you're focused on culture, people are happier. And if you're happier, you want to stay longer and your company will be more successful overall. As far as making better returns, some examples of that is I mentioned Sarah Pagey, who sold her company very quickly. Alexa Von Tobel sold LearnVest, an amazing fintech company, about 1.5 years ago for $250 million to Northwestern Mutual. That's the fintech space. As I'm saying, I'm very excited about that space right now, especially female-founded in that space. Cindy Whitehead in the healthcare space sold her company Sprout Pharmaceuticals to Valiant for $1 billion a little over a year ago. So we're seeing some incredible exits, especially in the US right now. I want to see more from Korea. You know, I know that there are a lot of artists in the audience, and one thing I would like to share, because I have merged sort of my arts background with my business experience in my career, is that I invest primarily in consumer, so female-founded consumer. So it's very niche investing that I do. But as artists these days, you know, the landscape is changing in media. Movies and television are being made for significantly cheaper, and you're starting to see these A-list celebrities on credit card commercials, etc., because they're trying to make more money. So what I would say to you, if you were an artist, is start getting involved in consumer technologies, because a lot of times consumer is something you can, you know, buy or sell, a product or service that you can buy or sell. Find consumer technologies that you can associate with your brand and help sell them. Maybe invest a little in them, or just invest some social capital and marketing capital. I'm seeing a lot more deals done that way. I work very closely with a talent agency, William Morris Endeavor, and we're talking about how to structure equity deals with my companies more regularly. So there's a lot of really exciting things going on. Again, I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there. I promise to come back. If anyone wants to meet me, Jimin and Sunny and the amazing team at Startup Con can put you in touch with me. I hope you guys are enjoying everything there. Up next, I would like to introduce the amazing Chandini Amineni, and I'm sure I totally butchered that, and I'm so sorry. God, us Americans. She is the distribution partner at 500 Startups, where she has worked over 50 seed and growth stage companies based out of North America, Southeast Asia, and India, helping accelerate their growth. Thank you for that. I appreciate that just in general. And she will be moderating a session with two of the most exciting technology female founders in Korea. So Haimin Lee is the CEO of Finda, an online financial comparison platform. And as I said, I'm so excited about fintech right now. So this is so awesome. And then also, I'd like to introduce Sophie Kim, who's the CEO and founder of Market Curly, a platform that sells organic food at an affordable price, which is very, very important. Getting great food to people. This is an exciting space right now, getting farm fresh food. She's scaling very well right now, so I can't wait to hear more. So welcome, and thank you so much for having me. And I love Korea. I love Startup Con.
All right. Hello, everyone. Woo-hoo. Yes, we are just as excited. Also, we know that we are this is the last session. We are between you and your food and networking and whatever evening entertainment that you have planned for this evening. So we will keep this short, hopefully fun, but definitely actionable, something that you can take out of here. So since Jesse already introduced us, again, quickly, my name is Chandni. I'm a distribution partner at 500 Startups. And to my left, first here is Haimin, and followed by her is Sophie. So Haimin's company is Finda, the online platform to compare financial products, and Sophie's is the online to offline marketplace to find affordable, eco-friendly, and organic food. So the objective of this evening's session is, first of all, highlight the accomplishments of the female founders here, but also hopefully to help inspire more female founders, and also to highlight some of the common problems that women in technology face and what actionable things we could be doing to make the situation better. So to start off, can you guys tell me a bit more about, how you started your company, or what your company does and how you started it? What was the inspiration behind it?
Wow, it's a big first question. Let me start off. For me, it was very simple because when I thought about starting this company, I was one of our existing customers. I was a newly married young housewife, essentially. I was working at the same time. So I had all necessities to find great food ingredients. But obviously, it's really hard to go shopping, and especially in the weekends, you have to go to the mart, and then you have to find a place to park. So I thought about, how come there's no service that can help me, somebody like me who can find great food ingredients online, have it delivered to your door quickly, and also reliable food ingredients. Because as we all know, as city dwellers, we want to have access to great food ingredients, like organic, delicious food ingredients. You can probably find it in the suburban areas, but it's really hard to find that in the city. So I thought that maybe if I connect two groups of people, farmers and artisans who produce great food ingredients to city consumers, there will be great business opportunity. And it turned out to be that way because I was the first customer. I used my service, and it turned out to be great for me. I hope that is the case for a lot of our customers.
A case of an authentic founder.
Yeah.
I think my personal difficulties drove me to start my startup too, like Sophie. At that time, 2 years ago, I was just like aspiring entrepreneur who is find out some like opportunities to start my business. So that means in the banks, I have no credit scores. So, and I was married, and I tried to like borrow money for my like mortgage, and I visited to many banks as many as possible to get some like information to compare which banks offers me the better deals. But at the time, almost the banks rejected me to get some like right information because I have no job. So and even like I wanted to just get some right information. I thought that it is so like odd because like just information. So I just to try to collect all of the right information to make some like good decision for like just common people for their like just personal life. So I just collected, and my team collected financial like products information, and we make some like recommendation algorithm to like compare and recommend some like a better financial products for like people. So that is my background.
It's always very inspiring to see founders who start companies to solve their own problems. They're the most passionate founders and tend to stick with it for the longest time.
Right.
And as your results already show how far you've gone with that. So in keeping with the theme, one of my favorite questions is like, do you guys think of yourselves as a female founder or just a founder? So how does it feel when somebody else looks at you as a female entrepreneur?
Yeah, well, I obviously don't consider myself as a female entrepreneur because who would, right? I mean, you don't call yourself female employee or female something, right? So I obviously don't consider myself as one, and we have a lot of other female people or employees in my company, but the society and the group that I tend to interact with, suppliers, investors, sometimes our customers even, they, from time to time remind me that I was a female entrepreneur. So there are interesting stories how like I went to see one of our key suppliers. He was a very well-known farmer in organic world, and then he saw me and he looked so frightened, like so completely frightened that he thought that I was, in Korean it's called 얼굴 마담. In English, I don't know how to put it, but it's sort of a cover-up for your real founder. And he thought that, where's your CEO? And I said, it's me right here. And then he looked so frightened, but later on he realized how passionate I was about the product. So he, I think, began to understand that people like me can actually do serious business. But the first question he asked me is, he doesn't think that I can do serious retail business. So that was an interesting experience for me.
That's awesome.
I don't want to say I'm a female entrepreneur, but so many media like nominate me as a female entrepreneur. So, but sometimes I have difficulties as a female entrepreneur in Korean like industry, especially the fintech startup in like very traditional fintech industry is very hard. But as a female like entrepreneur. And I have like same like experience with like Sophie that so many suppliers or like banks, even just like bankers was so frightened to see me in the meeting. So because of that reason, frankly, my partner is male entrepreneur, and we put. So I asked him to be as co-CEO because to make some like balance when the government has some like events or we have some meeting with like a very senior person in like a financial industry. So but I like myself as a female entrepreneur. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So especially fintech, it's a very traditional industry, very male-dominated, definitely lots of obstacles along the way. Actually, let's take a step further back. So even before starting your company, what sort of obstacles do you face and how do you overcome them? Even before starting a company, what sort of problems that the audience might not be aware of, like men might not encounter and you as a woman would encounter if you wanted to think of even starting a company?
I have an experience working for big conglomerates in Korea, where a key industry is like heavy industry, construction, shipbuilding, and energy, which are very male like oriented like business. And I was the only girl who is working in like a new business department, department. And then at that time, I have experienced that like different, the people treat me differently because of my gender and also my age because I was so young. That was like 10 years ago. So, but I just like accepted that situation and I want to make more like projects successful because if I get like more like success or I was successful, no one cares about my gender. Yeah. So and that before starting my startup, I also like worried a lot because I'm a female and so many people just gave me some advice that I think you can be very hard because you are like just a girl and young and you're female, but I just like try to make more like effort to overcome that situation, and I just like say to myself that stop worrying if people like treat me like differently because of the gender, and then I just do that like successful, to like just like make myself like proven. So
results speak louder than anything else.
Yes.
So we looked at all the disadvantages or some of the obstacles you may have. What are some of the advantages of being a female founder in any of your fields?
Well, I mean, my service, our key target is female, essentially. 90% of our customers are females, and actually they're around my age as well. So as I said, I was the first customer, and a lot of our customers, they share the same issues with me. So one of the things that I can convince investors very well is that maybe you guys don't know how groceries work, but I do, because I shop every day. And that's a really important value proposition, because if you're really passionate about what your customers care about, then, and if that is exactly your needs, then that's, right there. You get the service, right? You get the thing right. And that's one of the key advantages. Another thing is that we try to hire a lot of females in my company because many females, I mean, I don't want to be a sexist here, but I mean, it's typical that females tend to have more empathy. So in our customer service center, for example, 90% of our customer service center people are females, and they do great jobs in sort of having an empathy with the customer's problems. So for example, something went wrong, that they didn't get the delivery there, or they didn't get the product there, then it's not just about solving the problem. It's first empathizing how the customers feel, and then the second step is really solving the problem. And that first step, I find out that a lot of females do so much better in that area. So I think in that sense, I mean, it's good to be females as well.
So segueing right into my next question, like having experienced the disadvantages, what are you doing as founders? Now you are in a position to make a difference. Now,
Right.
regardless of whether you're a founder or a low-level employee, everyone can do something about it proactively. But what do you, as founders, what steps have you proactively taken to increase the diversity ratio in your companies?
Well, what we recently have in our company is we try to have the flexible hours for any employees who may want to have such arrangement, because we realize that a lot of the middle managers, for example, in our CS center, we have a female who recently got married and have 10 years of CS experience. She's really valuable asset to us. But the problem is she's also got the family obligation of having to have a child and raise the child and be there when families want her. So what we did was essentially she has flexibility to work some certain hours but not certain hours. And that really helped to retain a lot of our female employees, because they realized that, they can be good wife and they can be good mom, and at the same time be good employees as well. So after we did that, we had a employee retention ratio like shooting up, essentially.
And if I may ask, what percentage of your employees are like women versus men?
So we have 70% of our employees females.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how about you guys?
I have comparatively we have 40% of female
That's really high.
in my
Yeah, that
company,
is
but
high.
more than 30% in Facebook and Google. We have more. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in case somebody in the audience is not aware of it, 40% is way better than the 29% that Facebook, Google, and Apple have. So it's definitely a step forward.
Thank you.
What advice do you have for the men in the audience? This is the common problem, right? Like, lack of diversity is, it makes the solution space terrible. It makes even the problems that we're solving are not rich enough. But most of the time, lack of female entrepreneurs or not enough women in technology or not even VCs in technology is perceived as a women's problem that women need to be solving. But that's not true. It's everyone's problems. So what is your advice to any of the men in the audience on any actionable action items, or what is it that they can do to help solve this problem? Or at least move one step forward.
Well, I think for me, it's really about treating your female partners or fellow coworkers as equal partners, because it's really important for you to realize that someone next to you, whether it's female or male, they have same passion, career goal, and same personal needs as you do. And apparently it's really difficult, because sometimes you see them as partners but at the same time females. And I worked in a financial services industry, which is really traditional. And what I realized is that at some point, your coworkers and colleagues start to ask, so, when are you going to get married? And are you going to continue to work while you are, after you get married and have a child? You don't ask such question to your male colleagues, right? And, the way you treat them and the way you interact with them start from there. I think you really need to see that person as an equal person, and also same kind of person as you are.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a quick exercise for the audience here. A friend of mine went to a wedding. She was telling me about this. She went to a wedding, and it was her husband's colleague's wedding. So she went to her husband's colleague's wedding. So obviously she went with her husband, and she met her husband's boss. So she was telling me the story, and as I'm a visual person. As she's telling me the story in my mind, I'm imagining the wedding, and then I'm imagining her husband and the husband's boss. How many of you raise your hand if you imagined a man as the boss? It's just that's just default. It's not like we're all terrible people, but that's unconscious bias, right? I was thinking it was a man, so she happened to be a woman. So it's the same thing. It's like, you know, when you think of power positions, you usually think of a man. When you look at a woman, it's harder to think of that person in a power position. So one of the most important points that she was making was look at that person as a role that they're playing. Whether they're a marketer or an engineer or a founder or whatever it is, so look at them as a role instead of looking at them as, you know, a woman or a man performing that role.
Right, yeah.
That is super important because most of the biases we have is not because we're terrible people. It's just, it's been so over a really long time, and unless we take conscious steps towards it, it's harder to change. And what is one piece of advice do you have for like aspiring female entrepreneurs? I know we all hate the word female entrepreneurs, but if you are a female, as you heard from them, there's a lot of obstacles along the way. Again, a lot of it unconsciously, very innocuous, you would call it. I, in fact, saw an interesting analogy for it. It's like a mosquito bite. You know, one mosquito bites you, it's okay. Another mosquito bites you, it's okay. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of mosquitoes biting. It goes from an annoyance to a real problem. So everywhere you turn around, you know, people sort of undermining your value or, you know, not giving enough attention or respect. It sort of it's harder. It's hard enough to build a company. It's hard enough to be an entrepreneur. Now add all these extra obstacles. Somebody was saying it's like playing a game in the hard setting. So yes, females do need the extra encouragement that you can give. So what sort of advice? Because they've gone through this. They've been through these problems, faced the objections that your neighbors and colleagues and your you said your parents-in-law were helpful. So you
right, yeah. So this is the advice that I got from the senior in my first job. She was a very successful banker, and she told me that never ignore who you meet. Essentially, that was about the man. So she said it's really important for you to find the right husband and right partner in your life, because the biggest obstacle as a female entrepreneur, and probably it's right for the men as well, is that you have to persuade your closest partner, your family, your husband, your wife, about your businesses. Because when you take on a new, you know, when you start a startup, it's really difficult for you to, you know, there are so many questions that you have to solve. And if you cannot convince your closest partner about why you do this, then it's really difficult for you to actually solve all these problems for obvious reasons. So whether you are a male or a female, you really need to find the right person who can understand why you do this and why you're so passionate about it. And I think it's especially important for female, and that's just because of the reality. We live in Korean society where social pressure on having to do something is a lot greater on females rather than males. Females, at some point, you are under pressure to have, you know, get married and have a child, and it's real, right? You cannot avoid it. So
sadly, I'm going to have to interrupt here and say Korea cannot take all the credit for it. It's very prevalent all over the world.
Right, yeah, so probably
doesn't matter US, doesn't matter which startup ecosystem you are in, there are so few women in technology, female founders,
and that's probably because of the support that you get from the family. So I highly encourage everyone, every female potential entrepreneurs here, to meet the right person. Take your family as a first sort of a hurdle to persuade and make sure that they understand and they support your passion and your idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, but we like met today, like at first, but we found out some like a common thing is that we have like life partner who is also entrepreneur. So they her husband and my husband also understand very well about the female entrepreneur's life. So I totally agree with like Sophie's like advice, and also I would like to like give some like small advice to very young like aspiring entrepreneur that like stop worrying if it is not happened yet. So, you know, the most frequent questions I've received from the investor and partner was, what happened when you marry? What happened when you have a baby? And what happened if I get some like trouble because of my gender? But I think we can find a right way, and we can find out some right like a solution when we when that like happens. So And like Korean females are really like aggressive and also very brave to like overcome all of the difficulties. And the society, Korean society, especially like tech society, is really open for like females. So please, like more, like let's just do it like right now, and then I think it's very welcome to like a tech world, everyone.
Awesome. That's a great way to finish it.
Right.
Thank you both for your time. But before we close, we have like a minute or two for like any questions from the audience. Yes, somebody there, but we need a mic. Sure, I can repeat the question.
My name is Luciana from Brazil. And I know we don't have the expression female founders, but this is still the reality that we have
Right.
until we close the gender gap and we get rid of the gender bias. But then we need role models,
Right.
right? And I'd like you two to answer, how important do you believe role models are to influence a new generation of young entrepreneurs and really empower them to see entrepreneurship as a path?
There's definitely need for role models, like, all the circus that's happening with the elections in the US. It's because nobody's run for the president of the United States. No other woman's done that before. So the one woman who's running is under a lot of scrutiny. What was surprising and interesting is that, I read an article about how in debates, women are held to a much different standard than men are. So having successful people, having somebody who's already broken the glass ceiling, who's been there, when a startup founder goes and pitches to a VC, at least again I'm speaking in Silicon Valley context, they look at it as, is this the next Mark Zuckerberg, right? Because again, that's the context that they have for success. That's the image they have for success. So hence the importance of role models. So the image that you have for success should be more gender balanced. So little girls can aspire to be that person, and so we as a society should do whatever it takes to encourage and put those role models in place, because it is going to affect your sisters and your daughters and the next generation. But you guys had to.
Right. I think I totally agree with what Shandini says. And for me, it's an interesting question because I went to all-female college, actually, in the US. And one of the things that I keep hearing about, in that place is that you have to become the role model for your next generation, because you tend to look up, and especially if you are the one who's starting off, you really want to look up to someone so that you know that when you work hard and when you get to a certain place, then you can become someone like that. But what I realized after founding my own company and hiring a lot of people is that we live in a society where there is a big shift between traditional industry and how things worked versus like the startup world is completely different. We exist because we do things differently from the conventional companies. And I always tell my employees or my team members that it's good to benchmark and it's good to look up to someone, but you always have to be slightly better, or you have to do it differently so that you can make a change. So I think it's also important to always look up and look upon someone, but at the same time try to be different and try to make up your own way as well.
So on that very entrepreneurial note, thank you so much again for your time, and thank you everyone for being here and encouraging female founders. So please, if there are a few takeaways for you to go from here, please look at people as roles, not as female or male, and do remember that unconscious biases exist everywhere, and so be conscious of it next time you're talking somewhere, or you see an interaction within a group of people when the woman's voice is not being heard. Please help amplify that voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.